Well, it's Super Bowl week.
You're kidding.
Festivities are going on. Interviews are being done with both teams. Speaking of interviews, Roger Goodell, commissioner,
I don't give a f.
was asked a simple question.
Hold up.
What do you think about the referees?
Wait a minute.
Goodell, I think they're doing great.
You sure about that?
I'm Jazz Berganzo on this. Yeah, ask Buffalo and Houston that.
Ooh. Yeah.
Just saying. But it's what's next. Hey guys, Jazz Berganzo, what's next? Daily Dose. Hope you guys are feeling good today on this Tuesday. Well, like last week, this week is Super Bowl week. Of course, this is the week ramping up to the big game on Sunday between the Philadelphia Eagles, of course, my favorite team, and the Kansas City Chiefs, two-time Super Bowl champions, who have been questionable regarding their last two wins. Anyway, you got the event going on in New Orleans. Both teams touched down yesterday, no pun intended. The festivities, the events, the interviews, players, coaches, what have you. So, speaking of interviews, Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner, was asked a simple question. How the referees doing, Roger? Tell us the truth. Give us the skinny on the scoop. Well, Roger stepped back, took a deep breath, and said, the referees, they're doing great. Are they, Roger? You sure about that? I don't know. I think Buffalo and Houston would have a different answer, but just me. This, coming from Outkick. Roger Goodell believes ideal officials help the Chiefs is a ridiculous theory. Yes, and you're a buffoon. New Orleans, if you believe your eyes and are convinced that the Kansas City Chiefs have been benefited from calls from officiating errors, or if you're more of an extreme camp that believes NFL officials are actively helping the two-time defending Super Bowl champion win games, Roger Goodell knows you're out there. And he thinks this stuff is ridiculous. His word that you buy into this. So, Dean Blandino, who is a veteran NFL officiating chief, brother believes ridiculous things per Goodell, comparing officiating and script conspiracies. Quote, this sort of thing reminds me of a little bit of script, right? That I write the script and a script for the entire season. Goodell said mockingly during his State of the NFL press conference on Monday. Listen, a lot of those theories are things that happen in social media and they get a new life. I understand that. I think it reflects a lot of fans' passion and it reminds us on how important officiating is. You feeling a butt coming? Well, here you go. I think the men and women officiating in the NFL are outstanding. We have the highest possible standards. Really? You sure about that? Okay. It's a ridiculous theory for anyone who may take this seriously. But at the end of the day, it's something we have to work at. How do we make our officiating better at all times? This is an issue that's been building for some time, and Goodell has found himself having to defend the league's officiating time and time again for years. Recalling that years ago, he called officiating outstanding and stupendous. He recalls the Chiefs, and recall that the Chiefs seemingly got multiple favorable calls this season, including against Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship game and Houston in the divisional round. Roger Goodell sees things a little bit different than you do. Well, Goodell sees things a certain way. He's employed to do precisely that. By the way, that means he's going to defend the integrity of the league at all costs. So conspiracy theorists point to the fact that Chiefs' 15 victories, 11 have come within one score, and say the Chiefs are getting breaks to pull out their very close games. Goodell looks at that, sees something else. Quote, I think that talks about competitiveness. I think that talks about the competitors on our game and the importance of how we officiate it, also how we play into it. Goodell said the NFL goes to lengths to make sure its officials are not biased, although those are not available to the public. What lengths? Quote, our officials are great in several ways. It's not just performance on the field, but the things that go in their own lives. We have very tight controls over that. We monitor things very closely in a number of ways. These officials are outstanding people, both men and women. They go through a lot to become officials. It's a tough job. Half of what you see and half of what you see in another way. What? All right. Quote, I never see a more dedicated group of people than NFL officials get it right and doing the best job they possibly can, and I'm proud the way they do it. Goodell, some people just don't know the rules. You people who watch the games, you're idiots. Goodell sometimes thinks that people don't understand the rules when they think the officiating got it wrong. And that includes people on television, Goodell said. He also said replay assist was good for helping officials get it right, including when they actually get it wrong and have no clue. And there will be done work in the offseason to expand it to keep it from missing. For example, face mask calls that are completely and totally obvious, but to the officials, they're oblivious. I'm proud of what we do, but it doesn't mean that we won't continue to try to get better. Enhanced technology will eventually play a role in that. The NFL, for example, has used tech to measure first downs in preseason. There's also a possibility of adding sensors within the footballs themselves to mark the spot. The fact of the matter is, as a football fan, it's hard to just sit back and just see it as an outsider, unless you have no skin in the game. Unless you don't like football, unless you don't like professional football, then you can sit back, look at it from an outside point of view and say, hey, I see this, I see that. Here's my conclusion. But it's hard as a fan, myself particularly. And I'm not trying to be biased here because my Eagles are in a Super Bowl. But I've seen calls. I've seen missed calls. I've seen obviously stupid calls, dumb calls against, players, on the Eagles. I've seen that happen time and time again throughout the season. But imagine if you are Buffalo, if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, if you're a Houston Texans fan, and the game is still fresh in everybody's mind. The two obvious should have been non-calls during the Houston game, with one, Patrick Mahomes. And then, of course, in Buffalo, who has a plethora of facts in front of him, games in front of him, going, you missed this. You obviously call this. You obviously call this. How dare you call this? Why are you calling this? This is going on for years. Buffalo can cite you chapter and verse of how many BS calls that were made against them versus the Chiefs. But with that being said, now the Chiefs are in the big game. The Chiefs are now going for their three-peat. The first team in NFL history to go for a three-peat. Let me take a step in the way back. Let's go way back. Didn't the Patriots at one time were going for a three-peat? They were. And then in 2017, what happened? My Philadelphia Eagles came with Nick Foles, backup quarterback, and beat them in a Super Bowl, breaking up that so-called potential three-peat. Well, we fast forward, and history once again is shining the light on us to prove again that there will be no three-peat. Oh no, my friends, there will be no three-peat. But I'm just saying this, and I'm going to try to step outside of being a fan. There are going to be calls that are going to be very, very questionable. There are going to be non-calls that are going to be obvious. But if it's close in the fourth quarter, guess which side the referees are taking? Just saying. And with that being said, I'm Jazz Borganzo. This is What's Next. Want to see more like this? Please leave a comment below. Like it, share, subscribe to it. Hit that notification bell so you guys never miss a thing. Continue spreading the word about the show. Appreciate you guys watching as always. And we'll see you next time. Peace.